Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Mr. Cobalt, and today in this video I'm going to be going over how to prepare a solution of a specific concentration. And in order to do that, a lot of times in the laboratory we want probably a stock solution where it's a solution that we can go to and it's already ready made, it's a certain concentration, and then we can just take some of that solution and use it for an experiment that we're trying to do. Or maybe we want to set up dilutions. So we have a stock solution, and then from there we want exact amounts of the dilutions that we're making. So we take some of our stock solution, and then we want to dilute those to a specific concentration of a certain amount, and then we want to dilute that. So we have to take some of the original solution, put it into a flask, and add water to a certain volume. And it's important that we get pretty accurate, pretty precise results from that. And one of the tools that we use is a special flask called the volumetric flask. And the thing about the volumetric flask, as opposed to, like, say, something like a graduated cylinder or a beaker or an Erlenmeyer flask, though all of those have various gradations or graduations for different volumes that you can add to that flask. But the volumetric flask is specifically designed for one volume, and it's pretty precise. So that's the only volume it's good for. And you'll notice that there's one line on your volumetric flask, and it's usually up here somewhere. And that one line is the volume represented in for that flask. So for example, if I have a 1 liter volumetric flask, then the line here would represent 1 liter. And so whatever solution I make in here, if I get the water up to the line, then that will be the volume of the solution that I have in there. Now, it's really important that you don't go below or above the line, because then you won't know what concentration you have in your volumetric flask, because the only line you have is the 1 liter. So if you're below it or above it, then you don't quite know what volume you have. So it's very, very important that when you're adding water, or when you're making your solution, that the final volume, the meniscus, the bottom of the meniscus, is on the line as best as you can do it without going over. Because if you go over, then you got to start over because you don't have the right volume. Okay, so let's say, for example, I want to make a 1 molar solution of NaCl. Now, I can use any volumetric flask I want, right? So, well, not any one I want. There are different volumes of volumetric flasks. There's 10 milliliter, there's 25 milliliters, there's 50, there's 100, 150, 200. There's 1,000, 1 liter. So there's a lot of different volumes I can use, and then I have to determine what the volume I want. So in this case, it's a 1 liter volumetric flask because I want to make 1 liter volume of my solution that I can use for whatever purposes. And I want to make 1 molar solution, a 1 molar solution. So if we remind ourselves about what molarity is, remember, molarity is equal to moles of solute, whatever's being dissolved, per liter of solution. Okay, so if I want to make a 1 molar solution and I want to make it in a liter volumetric flask, then what I need to do first, because I want a certain number of moles per liter, so I want 1 mole per liter of solution. So the first thing I want to do is I want to measure out 1 mole of my substance that I'm going to dissolve. So in this case, 1 mole is 58.44 grams of sodium chloride. So I'm going to go to my scale in my lab. I'm going to find the mass. I'm going to get the mass of 58.44 grams of NaCl on my scale. And then once I have that mass, I'm going to put it into the empty volumetric flask. So then once I have this, then I can start putting in water, which is my solvent. Okay, now I don't want to measure out one liter of water and then just put it in there. Why? Because I've already put in the salt, the solute here. The salt is going to take up space. So if I take 1 liter and I just dump it in here, then that 1 liter plus the volume taken up is going to be more than 1 liter. So I can't just measure out 1 liter of water and put it in there. So what I have to do is I have to put in water, enough water to dissolve the salt. So I want to dissolve the salt first. Make sure it's dissolved. And so I'll maybe put in a little bit of water each time, a little bit of water, and just get it to dissolve. And then once it's all dissolved, and I make sure it's dissolved, now I can put in enough water to go to the top. So I'm going to add, and during this time I'm mixing, right? So I add a little bit of water, I mix, make sure it's dissolving, maybe add a little bit more water, mix, dissolve. And then when I see that it's all dissolved, then I can add all the way to the top. So here you can see the water. The bottom of the meniscus is on the line at the 1 liter mark. So at this point, I now have a solution, a 1 liter solution of 1 mole, and that's the amount that I put in. So now I can be guaranteed that I have 1 mole of my solute per 1 liter of solution. And that's how you make a particular solution volume and molarity or concentration of a solution. So and again, if I didn't need a liter of this stuff and I only wanted to make 500 milliliters, then I would take a 500 milliliter flask, volumetric flask. And if I wanted to make a molar solution, then I would have to figure out, okay, well, if 1 molar is 1 mole per liter, and I only have half a liter or 500 milliliters, then I need half a mole. So instead of measuring out 1 full mole, then I would measure out half of this, right? And then take half of that and put it into the 500 milliliter volumetric flask, and I would do the same thing. Add enough water, mix it, get it to dissolve first, and then when it's all dissolved, then you can add enough water up to the line. And in this case, instead of 1 liter, the line would represent 500 milliliters. And so I would still have a 1 molar solution, but this time it would be 500 milliliters of the 1 molar solution instead of 1 liter. So that's how you go about making and preparing a solution with a specified concentration, right? And it doesn't matter. So if I want a half a mole, I'm sorry. If I wanted instead of 1 molar solution, if I wanted a 0.5 molar solution, like a half of that, then I would calculate, okay, well, if I want 0.5 molar, well, 0.5 molar means you have 0.5 moles per liter, right? And then I want to figure out, like, well, what volume do I want? Do I want half a liter, right? Do I want 100 milliliters, things like that. And then you have to calculate that out, figure out what mass you need for whatever volume you need using the molarity, and then you follow these steps. Put the salt in first, put in some water, not all the way up. Don't mix it all the way up because remember, as you're mixing, this is going to take up some volume. So just gradually, right? So add a little bit, mix it, add a little bit, mix it, and then until when it's all mixed, then you can add enough water to go to the top. I hope this is helpful, and if you like this video, please go ahead and like it, share it with your friends, make a comment in the comment section, let me know what you think, and also subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell so you can get notified of any other videos I put out. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time.